Good afternoon, folks. You might hear from my voice that I've got the man flu, so I'm going to try and keep my speaking to a minimum today. So I'm going to ask the director to take us through notice and summons of meeting and members' attendance and apologies. Stephen.
Thank you, Chair. So members, you're hereby summoned to attend the monthly meeting of Business and Culture Committee, which will be a hybrid meeting conducted remotely via WebEx and physically in the Council Chamber in Guildhall and Derry. So we take the roll call. Alderman Cook.
Online, Stephen.
Alderman Guy. Alderman Middleton.
Here, Stephen.
Councillor Boyle.
Online.
Councillor Alex Duffy.
Shaw, online.
Thank you. Councillor Farrell.
Here.
Councillor Harkin. Councillor Hart.
Shaw.
Councillor Heaney.
Shaw.
Councillor Hutton. Councillor McDade. Councillor Mooney. Councillor O'Farrell. And Councillor Inelis.
Shaw.
Thank you, members.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm going to go through the broadcast statement. I would like to remind everyone physically present at this meeting or in attendance remotely that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to your attendance at this meeting, you are consenting to being filmed and to the use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. A copy of the privacy notice may be found on the council website, derrystrabane.com. Next item is declarations of members' interest. So if anybody has anything to declare, you can do it now or you can do it at the relevant item. In terms of chairperson's business, I've just got a couple of items. The first one is about the Royal Mail engagement. I know that this is an issue that was discussed at council on a regular basis, and it all stems from the chaos and the crisis that was experienced right across this city and district in the run-up to Christmas and the aftermath of Christmas. A number of us met representatives from Royal Mail today. We think it was a really frank discussion. It was open, it was honest. They accepted that the service that was delivered right across the city and district in the run-up to Christmas and after was below the standard they expected. In terms of what we do next steps, Royal Mail have accepted that the sorting office at Great James's Street in the city, it lacks the capacity to deal with the parcels, the volume of parcels that they're having to process on a daily basis. They accepted that their forecasting model in terms of anticipating demand, specifically around Christmas, was just completely wrong. Demand was up 70% on the previous Christmas. They didn't bargain for that. They didn't have the capacity. They didn't have the staff. They didn't have the vehicles. So there needs to be a lot of work done from a Royal Mail perspective to really fine-tune that so we don't experience the same issues year after year after year. So in terms of how we move this on, I think once part of the proposal was that we'd meet with Royal Mail, another part of the proposal was that we would meet with the union that represents the postal workers. That engagement hasn't happened yet. I'm going to ask the director to comment on that. But my considered view would be that we've spoken to Royal Mail. We understand the issues from their end. We have a view on how to fix those, but we need to have that engagement with the union. And then following both pieces of engagement, we can formalise our position in terms of asks from Royal Mail. So customers out there, people out there, get the service they deserve. So I'm going to ask Stephen to provide an update on engagement with the union, and then I'm going to open it up to members for comment and feedback. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Chair. So just to update members, we have had engagement now with the CWU, and we've asked the committee section to look at suitable dates for members based on the calendar of meetings, etc., for the individual union representative to dial in, because he's based in Scotland, and he will dial in and address any concerns that members have and hopefully have a constructive meeting. So that, I'm hoping, will be arranged in the next couple of weeks. And but an invite will come out to members' diaries in due course.
Thank you, Stephen. So the first indicated speaker is Councillor O'Farrell. Antine.
Thank you very much for letting me in. I was at the same meeting as well, and it was more of the same. Myself and myself and Melissa McHugh met in the Staban office with them. We heard the same stuff, but I would rather talk to the unions. I've been talking to the people who actually work in the service, and do you see, if we were looking real feedback, they're the people that's going to give it to us, not the management people, not the CEOs of the Royal Mail. So I think the sooner we talk to the unions, the better, because the unions are in touch with the grassroots workers, and they're the people we need to talk to. I could tell them, and I did tell them, that I've been speaking to them, and they're under strict orders to do what the management asks. And you see, second class meal will sit forever. They won't touch it. Parcels are the priority. Any of those tracked parcels, they're the priority. And I was saying I actually said to them as well, if you want a letter, post it now, put it into a parcel, and it'll get there quicker. So the sooner we get the unions on board, and workers as well, people who work in the places, because that's where you're going to get the true feedback.
Fully accept that and fully agree with you as well, Antine. Councillor Hargan, Sean.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with your summary of the meeting in terms of the frankness of it, and I agree with the next steps. And I'm glad that we have an update now that we're going to be able to meet the CWU. I think that's an important engagement for us to take on board their proposals. I think one of the issues about the meeting today, while the Royal Mail representatives were very forthcoming about their plans and acknowledging the issues that residents have been raising and workers have been raising, I think that the last time we met with them in Strabane, it was the exact same. They were very forthcoming at that meeting too, and they were full of plans. And then we had the disaster that we experienced over Christmas and the holiday season. So we were able to say that to them, that it feels like we've been here before. I think that some of the proposals that they're coming up with aren't necessarily the ones that we would support or that the trade union would support. But once we get the unions full take on this, I think we can develop a better set of proposals to take forward the Royal Mail as well.
Thank you, Sean. And final indicated speaker is Alderman Middleton.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in, and thank you for the update. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, I was gutted I didn't make it today, but I'm glad to hear the conversation was frank, as I knew it would be. We all know the issues, and I'm glad to hear that there was some sort of acknowledgement on behalf of Royal Mail that the service is below par. I mean, just this week, I know someone who received both their urgent appointment letter and the letter reminding them that as they hadn't responded, they wouldn't be getting their urgent appointment, which had to help them resolve. So fully support the next steps. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Julie. And Alderman Hussey, Derek.
Thank you for the opportunity, Chair. Not a member of the committee. I'm presuming the meeting was organised through this committee, and members of this committee were the ones who would have attended. In your summing up, I was disappointed that you were talking about the Londonderry sorting office, but Anton has come back on the issue. It's a district-wide issue, and we have met time and time again in our own area with regard to the Strabane office. It's exactly the same thing, and this doesn't go back to Christmas. This goes back years. I was dealing with this sort of stuff 4 and 5 years ago. You know, so Royal Mail are shoving it down the road, to be quite honest. And I think it's got to go further. And I think we have to listen to the unions, listen to the workers themselves. I mean, I chat to the guys on the ground that I encounter day in, daily. And the stuff coming through from them is not what we're hearing from Royal Mail. It's as simple as that. So taking it forward, yes, meet with the unions. But I don't think it's a case of going back to Royal Mail. I think it's a case of going to the next step above that. And those who are responsible for Royal Mail, you know, get them on the carpet and say, right, guys, what are you going to do with this? Because, you know, we've only just heard they're raising the cost of first class stamp by 10p again. You know, so they're putting the cost up, but they're not improving the service. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Derek. You will note that when I was speaking, I said across the city and district. Yeah, fully, you know, I know this is not an issue solely in the city, and I do fully recognise that Councillor O'Farrell made the case for Strabane, without a doubt. And they were fully aware that this wasn't only a city issue. Councillor O'Farrell made them aware of that. In terms of the next steps here, but look, we need to meet the union, and no disrespect to the union, if this is a guy based in Glasgow, you know, should there be local representation from the union? Because what we're hearing from Royal Mail is if there's capacity fixed in Great James's Street and Strabane, if they can sort of have a better sort of forecasting tool, that the problems are going to be fixed. Local staff might have a very different opinion to that. There could be just real structural changes that could be made that Royal Mail have not disclosed to us. So what's the committee's view on, should it only be CWU, should it only be this rep from Glasgow, or should there be people who are working in Derry, working in Strabane involved as well? Because the more voices we hear, the more opinions we hear, it'll probably help us collectively reach a better position on the way forward. Sean.
I think it's important that you're thinking about the workers. I think that the rep that's going to be coming to meet with us will be well informed about the issues. He was the person that was responding when Royal Mail was forced to bring in 20 workers from England during the holiday season. And I know that the local reps are talking directly to him. But I think what we could maybe suggest through Stephen would be, obviously we will be very welcome to hear from the rep, but if other locally based workers and reps would like to be part of that delegation, we'd be delighted to hear from them.
Councillor O'Farrell, then Alderman Hussey.
Just I agree too that, do you see the unions, bring them in surely, but I believe we should bring in the workers themselves, those who are prepared to do that, because they might be victimised in their jobs and because they're speaking out against the company or whatever, but definitely the workers need to be on board.
And Alderman Hussey, Derek.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. It seems strange to me that union rep coming, CWU rep coming from Glasgow or wherever, wouldn't have his local shop stewards along with him. You know, I can't understand why that wouldn't happen.
Well, Derek, we're just making sure that it does. That's the whole point in this. So, Stephen, are you okay following up on that? My second item is this day next week is St. Patrick's Day. Obviously, it definitely is St. Patrick's Day. I just want to, in advance of what's going to be a stunning spectacle, I just want to thank the entire team of council, the community partners that are going to be involved in the parade in Derry, the parade in Strabane. Just thank them in advance for their efforts behind the scenes in delivering a fantastic festival. And on a less positive point, I don't know if everybody knows this, but this is Aideen's last Business and Culture Committee. Sadly, Aideen is leaving the role and leaving council. And you've been on the head of culture for 10 years, 15 years within the organisation in general and personally. And on behalf of the SALP, I want to wish you all the best in your new role. I think you've been a rock. You're across your brief 100%. I think you're a real asset to this council, and what we have delivered through arts, culture, festivals, events over the last 15 years, you have had a massive part to play in this. So I just want to say thank you for everything you've done. Wish you all the best in your future endeavours. And you know, most times you say, don't be a stranger. I don't think you're going to be a stranger. So thank you for everything, Aideen. Councillor Anelis, Grace.
Gurmagat. Aideen, thank you so much for all that you've done for us over the years here. We have really appreciated all your guidance and your knowledge on everything that comes into committee. The phone calls you've taken from us at ungodly hours, and needless to say, it's a big pair of shoes that are left to fill when you leave us. So more in your new job, and we'll definitely miss seeing you here.
Alderman Hussey, Derek.
Thanks again for the opportunity, and Aideen, thanks for the numerous occasions we butted heads and sorted things out, not necessarily in committee meetings, but behind closed doors, etc. You've been a stalwart for this council, and I can say that hand in heart. You will be missed, but I sincerely wish you all the very, very best in your new position. Thank you, Chair.
Alderman Middleton, Julie.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. And on behalf of the DP, Aideen, we wish you very well in your future and all the best wishes. We thank you so much for your diligence. You're always so approachable and so helpful and so knowledgeable. We're going to miss you greatly, but we're looking forward to engaging with you further in your new role. Thank you.
Alderman Guy, Darren.
Thank you, Chair. But surprised to hear Aideen's leaving. She will be sadly missed now. I have to say, and agree with every other member that whenever you needed something or whatever, she was always on the other end of the phone, no matter what. And if any time during major events, she was always there to pick up her phone and sort out any issues that were happening around the area and so on. So, Aideen, best of luck and whatever you're going to do. I hope, as the chair says there, that our paths cross at some other stage as well. But all the best and good luck in your future role.
Councillor McDade, Catherine.
Thank you, Chair. And Rory's already obviously offered from SDLP, but I just wanted to come in and say thank you as well, because as a new councillor, and I still consider myself new, you've been really helpful and you've always been so approachable, and just, I know that I'm sure we can be really annoying at times, so it's nice that we don't feel that we're annoying you. You're nice enough to us. There's big shoes to fill because you've led the team unbelievable, and all the events, all the kind of cultural events that happen wouldn't have been as successful without you at the helm. So thank you very much for everything you do, and good luck in your new job. Thank you.
Councillor Harkin, Sean.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you very much, Aideen, for the work you've done over many, many years. I've always found you someone who has been on top of your brief, really understood your brief and really cared about it. And there was a lot of detailed work in that brief as well, that I think that you seen through, no matter how many hours was necessary to get the job done or when those hours would actually happen. So I think as a council officer, you know, you did bend over backwards around your role. So thank you for all that. And it was always the information and proposals that you provided often in working groups or committee meetings was always extremely insightful and helpful. So thank you. And I wish you well in your new role. I'm sure we'll cross paths, possibly swords, but all the best. Thank you.
And finally, Councillor Hart, Brian.
Thanks, Chair. Just want to congratulate you on your new role and wish you all the best. And echo the comments from the previous speakers. As a new councillor, when I was elected, I was dropped in at the deep end as the Chair of Business and Culture, and you know, you were very knowledgeable, courteous and patient. I know when you probably see my phone number coming up, you're going, oh my God, not him again. I know I had you tortured, but you were always very, very amenable to any queries that I had. So just wish you all the best in the future.
I'm going to ask Aileen, does she wish to comment?
Thank you very much for all those kind words. I will point out that some of you alluded to that I am not going too far, so don't get too carried away with yourselves. But thank you very much for the kind words. It really is a privilege to do this job in such a wonderful place, and I am always have been, and I'm really passionate about this council area, and there will be no surprise to anybody to say the wider Northwest as well. So I have really enjoyed the vast majority of the past 10 and indeed 15 years, 10 years in this role. So, it has been a real privilege to work with you all in this council term and in the previous ones that I have worked with. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but we have achieved an awful lot in the last 10 years. And it's important to take a wee bit of reflection to look at that, to look at the great work that we have all done together. And I am really privileged to and delighted to have been part of it. So thank you very much. And as I say, I definitely will not be a stranger to the vast majority of you anyway, despite how some of you might want. But thank you very much for the kind words.
Thank you, Aileen. So we have two more bits of Chair's business, thankfully not from myself. So the first one is Councillor McDade. Catherine.
Thank you, Chair. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to mention Ellie Flanagan, who was murdered in Enniskillen at the weekend. This is the first opportunity I've had to mention her here, and I just thought it was really important that we did, given all the work that we're doing as a council, working towards ending violence against women and girls. She was 23, so she was so young. She was a massive part of her community, and a man has been arrested. She was found dead in her home, murdered. So she's the 29th woman to be murdered here in the North since 2020. And we can't ignore it. And also, I suppose, while everyone was celebrating International Women's Day and we've seen all the beautiful positive posts and talked about allyship and talked about everything else, this poor girl was lying dead in her home. And that's the reality. So no matter how much we talk about it and how much we put on social media about it and we push about it, it's still happening. There's women living in constant fear. There's women living behind closed doors, seemingly maybe in happy families, seemingly living with upstanding men who are great in the community, and they are living in absolute turmoil at home. So I will use my voice every time I can to raise this. We need men to feel uncomfortable that they cannot do this. We need men to be punished for this. They need to be arrested and they need to be charged and locked away for life, if you ask me, at the very least. And at the same time, we have the ongoing murder trial of Natalie McNally, who was again murdered in 2022 by her partner. So it's just a lot. And I think given that it was International Women's Day and we were celebrating, which is fantastic, we should be celebrating all the things that women do. I think it's important that we point this out, that this is still a massive problem. And I suppose the point is that I just wanted to send our love and condolences and thoughts to Ellie's family, friends, colleagues, and actually the wider community, because everything you read about her, she seemed to be a massive part of the community. So on behalf of the SDLP, I just want to send that and say her name, Ellie Flanagan, because she's another young woman that's lost her life with her whole life ahead of her, and she won't be able to do it. So thank you.
Councillor Hutton, Aisling.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Catherine, for raising this today. And I think what Catherine said about us all celebrating International Women's Day, and what this poor lady had suffered and had died, it's just heartbreaking to try and understand why this happened. And I think for the whole community of Enniskillen, we had the incident with a white family at Maguire's Bridge, maybe 6 to 8 months ago. So on behalf of Sinn Féin, we want to send our condolences to Ellie's family, to the wider community of Enniskillen, and firmly say that we're committed to ending violence against women and girls, and we need to be sending out all of the messaging around young girls keeping themselves safe, so that for generations to come, they will be aware of their rights, how they can keep themselves safe, and hopefully we can pave that path for the younger girls that are coming up behind us. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Next indicated speaker is Alderman Hussey. Derek.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks for bringing this issue forward. I think I heard somebody not that long ago describing the present situation as an epidemic. This is what it is. And I think we've got to get that message across, as Councillor Hutton has indicated there. There is no level of threshold of acceptability. And that is something that has to be got into everybody's mind, both potential victims and potential perpetrators. There is no threshold. If it happens, it happens. And it has to be called out, whether it's physical or verbal, because often the physical comes on from the starting on the verbal. So thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you, Derek. Next indicated speaker is Alderman Middleton. Julie.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. Thank you to the previous speakers who have spoken strongly on this. On behalf of the DUP, we want to send our love, condolences, prayers, and actually express our anger at what has happened to Ellie Flanagan. 29 women is 29 too many. One is one too many. We feel that this level of heartbreak for a community, for a family, or even for one person is just not okay. And I think it's really important that we all note today that yes, it is so important to teach our girls, young women, females how to keep safe. But more importantly, we have to embed it not only into young men or boys or males' minds, but actually we need to embed it into our community that this sort of behaviour, violence at any level, whether that be intimidation, verbal, sexual, extortion or physical, is not okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Next indicated speaker is Alderman Cook, Chelsea.
Thanks, Chair, for letting me in. And I know Julie spoke on behalf of the party as well. But I just wanted to, express our deepest sympathies with her family and her friends and anyone close to her who is facing unimaginable grief at this time. No family should ever have to endure such a devastating loss. It also does highlight the urgent need for the continued efforts to tackle violence against women and girls. Every woman and girl has a right to feel safe in their community, in their homes, and in their everyday lives. Ending violence against women and girls, it must remain a priority for a society as a whole. It requires strong leadership, education, support for victims, and a clear message that violence and abuse will never, never be tolerated. So above all, today, our thoughts remain with the family and the loved ones of Ellie Flanagan, who are grieving. And it was definitely a life taken far too soon. So thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea. And final indicated speaker is Councillor Harkin. Sean.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor McDade, for raising this today. And I would join everyone else in sending solidarity, condolences and thoughts to the family of Ellie Flanagan. This was just horrible. And I think the fact that it happened on the weekend of International Women's Day made it, all the more tragic. And I think we have to do everything we can to root out sexism, misogyny in our society. And it's something we've talked a lot in recent years about in this council. I think Councillor McDade is absolutely right. Men have a massive role to play, and I think we have to be looking at structural change in order to make that happen. It has to be as deep-rooted as possible, starting with children, about respecting each other. Young boys learning that girls are not inferior to them and are not commodities or are not objects. So I think that we have a tremendous amount of work, and I think that to do, and I think what happened to Ellie is a wake-up call. I mean, one thing I was reading over the weekend was about the escalation of sexism that is happening as a result of AI, and we can see that with social media as well. I mean, it's been, rather than it being pushed back, there are unfortunately people like the Tates, like the Trumps, who are promoting sexism and telling men it's okay to be violent to women and justifying it. I also, you know, I think we need to mention the report that has come out recently about the PSNI, about that many year-long study about predatory actions by police officers, far too many of them, including of a 14-year-old. So the organisation that people are being told to look to protect them is actually incapable of doing that. So I think we have to think about that and think about, as I've mentioned many times in here, the type of strategy that I think is pursued from Stormont is not going to lead to the eradication of violence against women. And that's why I think that all the International Women's Day events that were held, because there was so many of them across the city. There was the march, the rally, but there was all these great events, so many powerful speakers. That is going to be the key, I think, to you know, bringing us the transformation that that women and girls need to see, but that I think we all want to see.
Thank you, Sean. And the final piece of Chair's business is Councillor Hargan. Sean.
Thank you, Chair. So this week is International School Meals Day, and it's actually on the 14th, but the Dairy Trade Union Council have called a rally demanding free school meals for all tomorrow at 4 o'clock in Guildhall Square. And I think that this is something I want to urge as many councillors as possible to attend. It's something that our corporate position supports. We support a universal, we back the campaign for universal free school meals. We are critical of the 20% increase that the Education Minister put on school meals. We are critical of the fact that more than 41% of children who live in poverty can't access free school meals. And we know the impact of children sitting hungry in the classroom has. So I think that this is why the Dairy Trades Council has decided to call this protest. We also know that many workers are concerned about the various proposals for reducing the number of canteens and centralising them. So again, just want to urge everybody to come out and join it tomorrow, 4 o'clock, Guildhall Square. Back the call for free school meals for all.
Councillor McDade, Catherine.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Sean, for raising that. And I just seen about it on social media there. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. I'll not make the rally tomorrow, but you know that you have all my support and solidarity with this. It's something that I've raised numerous times in this chamber around the fact that our children in schools need to be able to access free school meals. They need to be able to have a warm, nutritious meal at least once a day, because there's too many children that they don't have access to that at home. So I would encourage everyone that can to attend the rally, because the more feet in the street and the more voices shouting about it, it does have an impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. So if that's everyone, I think we'll move on to the body of the meeting. So item 6 is matters arising from our previous meeting. Alderman Hussey. Derek.
Thanks for the opportunity, Chair. BC 23/26. The signage issue, is there any timeline on that? You know, when will we start to see the signs?
Erin.
Yeah, I think I answered this. We don't have a date now. The planning is about to be submitted, so it'll be, I suppose, months rather than years, or months rather than weeks, I would say. But we expect it. We're, as I said, last committee, there's a head of steam against this, and we're meeting very regularly with the internal working group. So we should start to see them soon.
I'll hold you to months, but I can't hold you any further because you'll not be here.
So is that the only item in terms of signage? Any other issues that anyone wants to raise? No? Good. So item 7 is the Arts and Culture Update Report, and we've got Aideen to take us through this item. Aideen.
So thank you, Chair. Members, this is a update on a number of matters from the Arts and Culture team. And apologies, there's a bit of a duplication there in the purpose of the report there at the top, but it is just to update you on a number of successful funding applications for arts and culture and to seek your approval to roll out a pilot associate artist programme, and also to give you an update on the works at the Alley Arts and Conference Centre. So members, we just want to let you know and to seek your endorsement for 2 successful applications that officers have made to the Arts Council of Northern Ireland. £8,025 has been secured through the Rural Engagement Arts Programme to support the delivery of a community arts project entitled Spare and Scarecrow Arts, Tales and Turnips. And £10,000 has been secured through the Artist in Residence scheme to deliver a series of murals across the district, which has been matched by £10,000 from the Strabane Public Realm project. The details of the Spare and Scarecrow Arts Trail, Tales and Turnips aims to engage rural communities across the district in creative activity designed to combat isolation and loneliness through the revival of autumnal rural arts and crafts. There's further details on that project set out in the report. The delivery of a series of public murals as part of the Artist in Residence mural scheme reflects Council's commitment to enhancing the public realm, supporting placemaking and celebrating local cultural identity across the district. The investment of £10,000 by the Arts Council has been matched, as I said, by £10,000 from the Strabane Public Realm project. Procurement process for this has been initiated, and the appointed artist will lead the development and delivery of murals in Strabane, Newton Stewart and Castlederg. A further application has been made by officers to the Public Health Agency, who've secured £10,000 funding under the Healthy Towns programme to deliver a programme aligned with the Inclusive Strategic Growth Plan. This is to fund the Festival, which is a 2-day inclusive festival on Wednesday, 25th and 26th of March in the Foyle Arena. And it will also provide disability, inclusion and customer service training for up to just over £1,000, delivering 3 training sessions for up to 75 participants. Members, with regards to the Artists and Culture Practitioner Award, you previously approved the allocation of the remaining £7,450 from that award to support a pilot consensual grant-making model. This is to reflect the consensual model being rolled out for community festivals across the district, city and district, and officers have been working with cultural representatives via the co-delivery group to co-design an initiative focused on the development of associate artist programmes, aligning with the proposed competitively awarded approach for arts and heritage organisations. Members, there's details on each of the funds and each of these programmes in the report. You're asked, so members also wanted to give you in this report an update on the Alley Theatre. Many of you will be aware that it was temporarily closed following the discovery of a significant water leak. And I'm just pleased to tell you, many members will have received this update, but a contractor has been appointed and approved by the insurers to undertake repair work, will be on site from next Monday. The works are scheduled for completion in early summer. Members, this is the timeline that we have always reported on this. There was a slight delay in getting the contractor appointed, but we had built in enough, I suppose, enough float into the timing. And as a precautionary measure, we had paused taking bookings until September, so while we confirmed the extent of the work. So we fully expect the building to reopen during the summer period with soft programming and a full schedule of events recommencing from September, with bookings are currently being taken and tickets on sale for some of those. And it's also proposed, members, that the hire charges for the Alley remain unchanged as those that were approved last March. So members, the overall recommendation in this report is that you're to note the awards from the Arts Council for Tales and Turnips and the Artist in Residence Mural Scheme projects, and approve the proposed contribution of £4,990 from member-approved arts development budgets to support those projects in match funding. And to note the award from the PHA for the delivery of the Festival event and the disability inclusion and customer service training. And members, you're asked to approve the rollout of a pilot associate artist programme through a competitively awarded process for arts and heritage organisations, and to note the update and arrangements regarding repair works at the Alley Theatre and Conference Centre and the anticipated completion in early summer with full programme from September. So happy to take any questions, members.
Thank you, Aileen, for that comprehensive report. So we have two indicated speakers currently. So it's Councillor Hart, followed by Alderman Middleton. Brian.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Aileen, for the report. And it's a welcome to see the investment that's happening throughout the Strabane district and the city. The murals was something that I raised and asked for that to be taken forward a few months ago, and the first mural appeared there in Strabane during the summer jam. So it's exciting now that we're going to see further murals in Strabane, Newton Stewart and Castlereagh. So anything that we can do to rejuvenate our towns has to be welcome. We can see what it's done in Derry with the murals of the Derry Girls and Amelia Earhart. So it's great to see that investment happening. Trails and turnips. I remember before the event of pumpkins on the scene, my father used to carve turnips at Halloween, and I can tell you that it's a lot more difficult than it is carving a pumpkin. So that's a great kind of initiative that it's happening. In relation to the alley, I welcome the report and that the contractors are starting the work there to resolve those issues due to the flooding. And it's great that it's going to be open during the summer period. The alley has been very, very sorely missed in Strabane and the wider area. As I say, you don't realise what you have until it's gone, and it's a fantastic venue that we have in the town of Strabane. So it's great that that will be back online now in the summer, and also to welcome the disability inclusion training as well. Anything that we can do in relation to that sector has to be welcome. So thanks for the report.
Thank you, Brian. Next, are you proposing that item? Thank you. So Alderman Middleton, Julie.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in, and Aileen, thank you very much for the comprehensive and positive report. Just to note before I start speaking, I have a non-pecuniary interest in the festival event due to my employment with the local disability charity, and we're very much looking forward to attending that. But Chair, I would like to say that it is absolutely fantastic to see money coming to our local arts sector and for arts projects being carried out in a visible way across the district. Arts has so many benefits and we have so many wonderful practitioners across our district. We are very happy to endorse, note and approve all that is found within the report, and we are looking forward to the Alley Theatre reopening as well. Thank you.
Are you seconding that? Yeah, cool. So next indicated speaker is Alderman Hussey. Derek.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks for the report. I'm glad to see the meat on the bone with regard to the 8,025. I had noticed that some time ago coming through from the Arts Council, so it's good to see the meat on the bone on that. Under 2.3, the mural, Strabane, Newton Stewart, Castlereagh, is there any indication yet as to how the locations will be identified? And the murals, it states in there that they will be a reflection of community identity. How is that going to be put together or developed? I presume it'll obviously be with the artist. So that's on 2.3. And just a quick one with regard to 3.5 and 4.6, both to do with the alley. It's good to know that there's movement there. What was the date when the water leak was first identified? It seems to maybe it isn't, but it seems to me to be quite a time. And reference the time lag, as I say, if this was the private sector and you have a water leak in your business, you get it fixed. Well, you bring in the assurance assessor and then you come to the agreement and get it fixed. Was the delay caused by basically the insurance company? Thank you.
So I'm going to bring Aideen in terms of the murals, the location, subject matter, and then probably Stephen on the alley. Yeah.
Yeah, so the murals, that's generally done by a procurement process. So the artist procured and they put in a proposal, usually around and that's then refined then with a stakeholder group. So that's a process. And sometimes the artists are asked to see if they can identify a location. And if not, then there's a stakeholder group that will work to identify the location. So it's done by a procurement process and then with a group of stakeholders that are brought together. So that's the process that will roughly take place. Was that the only question? Was there another?
I think that was only one for you.
Yeah.
Just to follow up on that, Chair, very, very briefly, I think the stakeholder engagement will be extremely important. I know it would be in Castlederg, I'm sure the same will apply to Strabane and Newton Stewart, particularly when you're talking about something that's going to reflect community identity. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And just in relation to LA Theatre, so it wouldn't actually matter whether you're public or private sector. When you're 100% insured, then the works have to be approved by the insurance company. So there's a process of going through of agreeing the schedule of works. The insurance company then look at it. Insurance company will not pay for betterment. They'll pay for replacement. So therefore you have to work your way through that process. The reason for the closure, which was late September, was the duty on us is to make sure it doesn't get any worse. So you have to close and you have to cease any more further leaks, and then you enter into this negotiation with the insurance company. Probably taken longer than I would have expected, but I'm not surprised given the nature of insurance companies and how they work. But the fact is, we now have an agreed schedule and a contractor starting. So.
And final indicated speaker is Councillor Anilis. Grace.
Garmagat. Irene, it's just to get a wee bit more information around the Pilot Associate Artist Programme. Are there any dates or any indication of how that's going to be, not really advertised, but you know what I mean, like how organisations are going to be contacted, and what I am aware that it's happening. You know, I've been in meetings about it, but I just wasn't sure about, like, you know, timeframes for it.
We expect that to be rolled out into the common financial year, and it obviously will be led by the co-delivery group. Now, there'll be officer support, so we don't actually have the dates for it to go out, but it'll be communicated in the usual channels, and it will be, I suppose, aimed at the existing culture and heritage organisations who are in receipt of funding to match them with artists. So any of the organisations involved in those funds be contacted directly as soon as we have the details. I'm happy to share that with members as well as soon as those details are ready.
Okay, so on that, unanimously supported, proposed by Councillor Hart, seconded by Alderman Middleton. Next item is item 8, and that's the cultural grant aid update. And again, we've got Aideen to take us through that paper.
Okay, so thank you, Chair. Members, this is an update. This report's an update on cultural grant aid. As you know, we brought a report last month on the outworkings of the competitive cultural grant aid. This report focuses on some additions to that process in relation particularly to headline events and national events, and also to give you an update on the consensual action plans which have been received from the 8 local growth partnership boards. As you know, our Community Festivals Fund and the Christmas Events Fund for the common financial year are now awarded by consensual grant aid with the local growth partnerships. So this is a report to update you on the outworkings of that process. You'll know that officers have been working over recent months with the chairs of the 8 local community growth partnerships board and the neighbourhood renewal strategy managers within the 5 urban DAs on the consensual grant making model. This is a pilot for the common financial year, and it is to follow the principle of community consensual grant aid that has been rolled out by other areas of council. Officers have consulted obviously with each of the chairs, and You are now asked to approve the consensual action plans, and following their approval, a letter of offer will be issued to each of the lead partners identified within the action plan. Prior to the issue of the letters of offer, council officers will do the appropriate governance checks in line with good practice and in keeping with our grant aid policies and procedures. All areas have submitted action plans, but a small number of rural local growth partnerships boards have still to identify a lead partner due to capacity issues. So officers will continue to work with them. However, it is proposed in the event that a lead is unable to be identified, officers are seeking approval to revert to issuing direct letters of offer in these areas if required to assist in the rollout of the pilot model for the coming year. The action plans are set out in the appendices to this report, and they provide an indicative breakdown of the associated costs relating to the delivery and implementation of each of the proposed projects or programmes. Costings may be subject to change at the time of procurement of each project. However, officers will be available to advise the lead group to ensure the project is carried out in line with policies and procedures and within the allocated budget within the action plan. In the event of additional funding becoming available, it's envisaged this will be allocated to the local community growth partnership boards to provide additionality to the action plans aligned to the needs of the DEA. It's just to note that we're awaiting confirmation of funding allocations from the Department for Communities. As you know, this is a potential contribution of just under 30,000, so 29,530. That, as members who have been involved in this process for many years will know that tends to not come until a number of weeks into the financial year. So overall, members, in this report, you're asked to note the outworkings of the consensual grant aid and to approve the action plans as set out in the report, including the issue of a letter of offer to lead groups if required, subject to confirmation of funding from the relevant funders. In particular, here's the Department for Communities, and to approve for the issue of direct letters of offer to some groups in the rural DEAs in the event that a lead partner cannot be identified. So members, I'm going to go back now just to cover some of the distribution to the grant aid. You'll be aware that following last month's committee, the approval of the allocation of cultural grant aid that officers have confirmed £26,000, as some members of the working group will be aware, has been identified from in-year savings within the culture budget. You were also previously advised, members, that £17,000 was available from the Cultural Organisations Fund, as it isn't required in the coming financial year. This provides us with an additional resource of 42,000, and the recommendations are that the recommendations set out in the report are that we would award, sorry, would I see if I'm going to confuse you all now. So with additional funds and a transfer of an additional 5,000 from the arts and culture budget, this will fund a number of applicants in the Artist and Cultural Practitioner Award. So members, you've asked that the proposal is that £10,000 of the 26,000 in-year savings be allocated to the Artist and Cultural Practitioner Award. We will top that up with £575 that will allow us to go down to artist number 32 in the coming financial year. So following this, £15,000 remains from identified savings. When combined with 17,000, this provides £32,000, which we propose to put £11,250 to the large-scale local events programme. So you'll remember there that larger ones from the headline fund, and to allocate £20,750 to the National Events Fund, which was the subject of a report in last month's committee, bringing the total allocation to Event B to £30,750. These adjustments respond to oversubscription within the events funding streams and ensure that available resources are directed towards time-bound programmes in 26 and 27 and support a significant application and very credible application to the National Events Fund. So, members, the recommendation is to note the confirmation of the in-year savings and the 17,000 reallocation, and to approve the allocation of 10,000 to Artist and Culture Practitioner. with an additional 575 from in-year efficiencies, together with the allocation of 11,250 to large-scale national events and 20,750 to national events programme. There's one other recommendation, members, within this report, and you're just asked to note it and approve it. Some of you will recall there was an application last year for Community Festival funding from the Cathedral Quarter Initiative for a Christmas market in 2025. The group were unable to deliver this event as originally planned due to the ongoing closure of Pump Street, and officers are proposing and recommending that, due to the exceptional circumstances, that this application be carried over into the current financial year, and you're asked to approve this as part of this report. Members, that is that report in summary. So happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Aideen. So the first indicated speaker is Councillor Neelis. Grace.
Just a few things on there, Erin. Yeah, just to go through a few wee parts of it. I'm delighted that there's going to be another 10,000 going into the Arts and Cultural Practitioner Award. I think that will make such a difference to those individual artists. Many of those who have been impacted by closures of arts and cultural organisations within our district. I am delighted to see that there's more money going into the large-scale local events and to the national events to help some of them happen that wouldn't have initially happened without this extra pot of money. And again, just to reiterate, you know, supporting those organisations in the future, to pull their scoring up for the next round of applications. And the other thing with the Christmas market, I think it's a great idea and very happy to endorse all the proposals, but that in particular, because that has had a massive detrimental effect to that commercial street, you know, with the ongoing closure of Pump Street. So I think that's really positive that they will get the opportunity to run that last year. I know that they had already organised the huts and everything, and it was too late for that part of it last year. So it'll really be good to see that going ahead. I just would really hope that Pump Street is open and ready for that time. So I'm not sure if you would have any indication of a timeline for that, or are we still, yeah.
Chair, if you want just to update briefly, because we do meet regularly with the Pump Street and the contractor and the traders, just to keep an ongoing dialogue. But the ball is very much in the owner of the building's court to put in a valid planning application for this council to consider. And until that happens, it can't be fully reopened. But obviously there is quite substantially more open than it was whenever the initial issue occurred. But yeah, it would be good to get that moving. But we'll keep members informed through various committees.
Right, just Chair, if you don't mind me coming back in on that response then. So if it is the case that we're coming to October time and Pump Street is still closed, and you know that Christmas market is in the same situation as it was in last year, could we just ask that officers work with that commercial area to see if they can put on an alternative in, you know, in around maintaining that the Christmas market happens, but it might not particularly happen within that whole street, with maybe just within some of it.
Thank you, Grace. Are you content to propose that item?
To propose it all, yeah.
Thank you. Next indicated speaker is Councillor Mooney. Sean.
Thank you, Chair, and I'm happy to second that proposal made by Councillor Neelis, and just to say thank you to the work that's obviously gone on to this item, because you can see there's a lot of work and detail that's gone on to making these sort of packages available, and also well, just to join with Councillor Neelis in the aspect of the Cathedral Quarter Market. Sadly missed last year, and obviously it's a great addition to the Christmas offering that this city and district offers. And if there's any way that we can assist to try and have that on this year again, then I would be urging any endeavours to be used as best we can, because sadly it's a beautiful location. They have a market, the old buildings, and the feeling that it gives at Christmas time is a lovely area to be in. So based on that, we're content to second that. But thank you, Chair, and thank you to Aideen for the paper.
Thank you, Sean. And the other Sean, Councillor Hargan.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Aileen, for the report, and strongly support all the proposals that are included as well. I think these are great initiatives for Council to be backing. I am a bit alarmed that if it's true that there is still no planning application in for the building in Pump Street that is causing the closure of a street and it continues to be inaccessible. And so
It's not closed. The street isn't closed. I mean, it's substantially pulled back from where it was. There are containers up in front of the thing. So the street is open and all the businesses are trading, but it's not as it should be. So it's just in case, I don't want the traders alarmed that the street is closed. The street is open and the traders are back trading, and everything has been done as much as possible to make it as normal as possible. But obviously the next stage is to get the containers down and start the actual work on the building that was damaged. So at that point, that's where we are still waiting for a full planning permission for this council to consider.
Thank you for that. I know the street's open, but look, I understand that traders want to have a sense that we are open for business, but like, it's a disgrace that the street is still not fully open, right? And I don't understand why the owners of that building do not yet have a planning application in to council for consideration, because if they don't, that means that eyesore that is sitting up there, those containers, are still going to be there for Halloween. It's still going to be there for Christmas. And I think that like they should be moving on it. And I don't think there's any excuses, to be quite honest. So we did actually agree after when that building almost collapsed, could have killed somebody, shut down a street, caused a lot of pain for those traders, that we would revive the task force that was used for the Austins building. I'm not sure what happened, but we did agree to a meeting to try and further on the action around this. So maybe we need to meet, because I know they put the containers up there, but it's not a solution, and it's not acceptable to have a street shut down. And there's all sorts of other examples where I think if it was people who had less resources, there'd be a lot more pressure and consequences for them.
So, I think Aileen has something to add here.
Just in terms of clarification, in terms of the wording in the report, I suppose the ongoing closure referred to when they had to take the decision last year, rather than an ongoing closure well into Christmas and at this time. So just to clarify that, I was just rereading it there. It does appear like it's saying it's still closed, but so apologies for that, but just to clarify that.
Councillor Harkin, I've got a number of other speakers on this item, but are you making a proposal here about engagement with the property owner, or like Stephen's already saying there is regular engagement? Are you content with that, or do you want, are you making a formal proposal about something?
Sorry, thank you, Chair. I think that if there's no planning application in yet, and it seems to me that is dithering on the part of the owner, and if there is engagement from council officers, that's good, because I think that the position of the council is for this to be moved forward quickly. So if you think it would be useful, and maybe we can talk about this more later, for council representatives beyond the officers to engage, I would be happy to be part of that. But I am expressing my frustration that the owners of the building, who have caused all these problems, are not moving forward with an application a lot quicker than they should be.
Could I suggest, could we have possibly a confidential update at full council on that? Okay, because I know there's probably commercial sensitivities that we can't really discuss here. So next indicated speaker is Councillor O'Farrell. Antine.
Thank you very much for letting me in. And Aileen, is just when I heard about Pump Street being closed there, I was kind of panicking, because I'm due to attend a thing tomorrow night in it It's to do with the Presbyterians and their role in promoting the Irish language. You probably know about it yourself. Anyway, it's on at 8 o'clock tomorrow night, but it's fitting that's happening during Seacht and the Gaelic as well. So fair play to the Presbyterians for doing that. Goramila Mayogat.
Thank you, Antane. Next indicated speaker is Alderman Hussey. Derek.
As a Presbyterian, is that? Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Aidan. Can I just say that I really appreciate that there has been support has gone into the growth partnership boards with regard to the consensual funding model. It hasn't been easy, particularly in the rural DEAs, as we know. So it's just a thanks for that. With regard to the last two items in the appendices, the still anomalised list of the headlines, the 30 and the 10K, I presume that those are now, we can now have those names that have been successful and unsuccessful. So I presume that that can be made available, and I would appreciate that. And I would trust that whilst we welcome those who have been successful, that there will be ongoing engagement with those who have not been successful to assist them to bring their scores up going forward for the benefit of the wider community. And I know that that is something that officers do, and there has to be a willingness, of course, on the unsuccessful groups, but that would be my only comments on it. But thanks for that consensual funding scenario, which is it's still not finalised.
Thank you, Derek. And we have two remaining speakers. So it's Alderman Middleton, followed by Alderman Kerrigan.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in, and thank you to all of the team for your diligent work. It's really great to see events and initiatives district-wide that really benefit the community, and specifically speaking for the rural, seeing events held for many of our residents that they just wouldn't have access to without these sort of initiatives. So that is really, really good to see. I just want to touch, there's absolutely no weight in this whatsoever. This is not any comment in an ill-mannered way, but the Gateway Shop event tomorrow night is not being held by the Presbyterian Church. The Gateway Shop is run by the Reformed Presbyterian, and there is a difference there. But as I say, it's much of a muchness. It's a lovely wee shop, and I'm sure it'll be a great event. But moving on, I do want to touch on Pump Street. I do share some of the serious concerns regarding health and safety and the nature of the fact that the situation has been ongoing for some time. I can imagine the frustration of the traders who are on the street. However, we do have trust in you, Stephen, and your team. We trust that you are having these meetings and that everything is underhand, otherwise you'd have been back to tell us. We know that very, very well. And we trust that you are showing due diligence on our behalf. Now, I am happy to participate in any meetings that need to happen regarding this, but maybe it would be best if confidential in full council. Thank you.
Okay, Julie, and final indicated speaker is Alderman Kerrigan. Keith.
Thank you very much, Chair, for letting me in. I'm not a member of this committee, but yeah, just on it. There's many different varieties of Presbyterian out there, from non-subscribing to free to reform to the standard Presbyterian, but we'll let that one set. No, just I do thank the officers for the work, but it's not an easy task. And I mean, Alderman Hussey will confirm as well, and Councillor Devine, when we were at the Growth Partnership Board, and when you have the level of applications and the level of activity that wants to be carried out by different groups, and that funding pot just falls far short of it. Again, there is the issue that Alderman Hussey's raised in regards to once we can actually identify who the groups are who have got the larger funding, because that has a bearing and an impact then on potential if they don't require some of the other funding. But it's not a simple process. It is quite difficult, and I do feel that there are some lessons that can be learned as to how we can manage this, because I mean, even think particularly in the rural area, when you have so many settled and individual communities, and that wee pot of £3,000 per DEA in regards to Christmas funding and the importance of that. We all know our issues in regards to a Christmas tree and a community, or a bit of Christmas lights throughout the individual towns and villages and settlements, and how they look to that as something that is actually provided by council, and a lot of those communities hold that very dear, and in that regard, and wanting to hold events in regards to it, and it is difficult. I mean, that meeting was not easy done, and was very difficult to try and even get that. I know in particular the DARE Growth Partnership Board in regards to getting that passed, and there was great difficulty in it, and it fell out. There was only 2 people able to propose and second it, and that was it. So it is a difficulty, and something that I feel that will have to be looked at for again as to how that can be dealt with and maybe worked on a wee bit better. But I may put the comments. I know it'll not be Aideen's issue going forward, but we'll deal with whoever we have to deal with as to see if we can look at something to maybe improve that for next year. But thank you very much, Chair, for allowing me in.
Thank you, Keith. And the final indicated speaker is Alderman Guy. Darren.
Thanks, Chair. No, just to thank all the officers for the work that they put into this. I'm obviously not a fan of a consensual making model. I do think it gives too much power or leeway to the actual neighbourhood partnerships. But I'm willing to sit back and look and see how it works out. I know it's quite a new concept, so it's still in its infancy, as they would say. And I know that these have had bother, especially in the rural areas, and trying to get it worked and distributed in those areas. So I know, well done on that there, getting with the where you have done on it. And just ask that you would continue working with those groups who missed out this year, because obviously there's a lot of big events that did miss out in money, but it's all about who's putting in the best applications and so on. So just to reiterate what everyone else says, and thank the officers for all their work, and just to declare that I'm Church of Ireland and proud.
Thank you, Darren, and thanks for that clarification. I was beginning to worry about you. So that very little dissent,
Chair.
and
Chair, I'm sorry that Anton's left the chamber, because I was just going to say Fahbala.
So proposed by Councillor O'Neillis, seconded by Councillor Mooney. The next item is item 9, which is the Smart Villages Peace Plus application. We've got Kevin to take us through that.
Thank you, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to seek your approval for the acceptance of the letter of offer for the Smart Villages Network project, which is a €4.9 million funded project under the Peace Plus programme investment area 2.4. Members will be aware over the last number of years, we've taken in various update papers and reports in relation to the development of this project. And indeed, this project has been in the makings for probably nearly 3 years, with extensive work and consultation right throughout the council district in terms of it as a concept, which obviously led to an initial application to the SUPB, which was submitted nearly 2 years ago now, which was the first application was unsuccessful. So we're obviously very delighted that upon resubmission of the application and the call opening from the SUPB, that we now have been successful. So the project itself, it's a cross-border initiative. It's designed to create smarter, greener, more inclusive and innovative rural communities. It's about leveraging connectivity, emerging digital tools, sustainable energy solutions, and it's also designed to help the rural areas to accelerate digital transformation, enhance energy efficiency and renewable adoption, strengthen local SMEs and community organisations, and build long-term resilience and sustainable growth. It very much sits within the sweet spot of what we do as a council in terms of digital innovation, and really fits within our strategic agenda from an economic development perspective. It also complements the work that's going on through our Smart Derry-Strabane City Deal investment, which is a £15 million investment into digital innovation itself. So really, really good. Obviously, then from a Northwest perspective, it's about gaining insights from already established digital hubs in County Donegal and the rural areas there specifically. You can see them listed. So really it's about gaining their expertise in terms of how they've delivered rural digital hubs and then lending that to the newly established digital hubs within the community settings set out in 2.2. So there's within the council area, there's 6 hubs that have been that were successful, and we've worked with them over the last number of years that will receive investment and support. The consortium is a really strong consortium consisting of Donegal County Council, ERNACT, who played a very important role in this, the North West Regional College and Ulster University. And you can see within the report in 2.3 the kind of 3 work packages that are proposed within the project itself. So a fairly extensive programme of work, actually a very ambitious programme of work, which will be delivered over the next 3 years. I'll not go into the detail in terms of that, but I suppose the key part for this report is that obviously the grant funding was approved by the Peace Plus steering committee back in October 2025. The award is just over 4.9 million of funding, and that's to be delivered over the next 3 years, basically the 31st of March 2029. And the recommendation is that members are asked to approve the acceptance of the letter of offer for the funding of the value listed in 5.1.
Thank you, Kevin. At present, we have 2 indicated speakers online. Councillor Duffy, Alex.
Good Chair, and just to thank Kevin for the report there. Excellent news. I remember going back a long while and speaking with Debbie at the Eglinton Community Hall and the excitement from them that when this was coming up. And then you have Claudia in there as well, just beating our own drum in the Fahan here. But it's excellent. A load of wide range of groups throughout the rural areas and as well in Donegal. So I'm happy to propose, Chair, and great work. The groups will be excited to get these projects ongoing.
All right, cheers, Alex. Next indicated speaker is Alderman Middleton. Julie.
Chair, thank you for letting me in. Kevin, thank you for the report. I would like to concur with Councillor Duffy that it is brilliant to see Fahan organisations involved in this, and actually as a rural councillor, I care about the whole district, and I think it's really wonderful to see the ambition that you have had for the rural areas, not only to bring this to the areas, but also to incorporate learning and legacy. I think that's really important, especially with digital transformation and modernising and actually even just helping us socially. So really, really, really glad to see this come through. I'm very happy to second. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. And final indicated speaker is Alderman Hussey. Derek.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. And I would just say that, as Kevin has said there, 3 to 4 years bringing this to fruition. And the Rural Issues Group, our own Council Rural Issues Group, have been tremendously invested in this as well. It's a fantastic project coming forward, and I endorse the recommendation. I can't vote for it, obviously, but I endorse it and trust that members of committee will. I think one of the big things in this too was it wasn't a case of reinventing the wheel, because there was that engagement with the Donegal with regard to what they've done in the same sector, and this is, I believe it's been extremely advantageous in bringing forward the project that we now are operating on our side of the border. So it's very, very welcome. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Derek. And final speaker is Councillor Mooney. Sean.
Thanks, Chair. Just to welcome the paper. As you can see, it's a substantial amount of funding that's been brought on, nearly €5 million, and it obviously took a lot of years to get there. But for that substantial amount of money, it's Peace Plus money, European funding. Sadly, it won't probably get again for quite a while. And this is like a synthesis of our council area and our neighbours in Donegal. that the rural areas here in our city and district, and you can see in the paper, like in Gidor, places like that there have picked up the funding as well. But just to say that, looking at that some substantial amount of money, and it took a lot of work and effort to get that, and just to commend our officers. Thank you, Chair.
You, Sean, so that's unanimously supported, proposed by Councillor Alex Duffy and seconded by Alderman Middleton. So our next item is Aiding's final item ever. So item 10 is the UK Town of Culture competition. Take it away, Aiding.
Save the best to last. So thank you, Chair and members, for one last time. The purpose of this report is to update you on the UK Town of Culture competition and consideration that has been given by officers to potential bid for a town within the city and district to the current competition. Members, some of you may be aware that in January of this year, the UK Department for Culture, Media and Sport launched the first ever UK Town of Culture competition in a bid to restore pride in communities. The UK Government outlined its aspiration to take its latest step in renewing the country by launching this competition. The competition is open to small, medium and large towns, with the winner expected to deliver a vibrant cultural programme to showcase the town's local vision and voice. The competition is UK-wide and has been developed with devolved governments in Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales. Department for Communities has circulated the details to relevant partners, including all local authorities. Officers from this council have attended an online briefing session in recent weeks outlining the bidding process. Towns have 11 weeks to apply with an initial expression of interest, and the competition is open to small, that's under 20,000 people, medium 20,000 to 75,000, and large towns with a population of over 75,000. One finalist will be chosen from each category, with an overall winner to be announced as the UK Town of Culture for 2028. The winner will receive a £3 million prize, and the two runners-up will each receive £250,000 to deliver elements of their bid. Each town who expresses an interest will be expected to demonstrate how they will tell their unique story and how they will bring everyone in their community together and design a cultural programme for all, culture for everyone, and how the town will then deliver a successful programme which is entitled Making It Happen. Following the expression of interest, which is due in by the 31st of March, a shortlist of bidding towns will be developed, and each shortlisted town will receive £60,000 to help deliver their full bids for the competition. Competing for a title such as this can have a hugely positive impact on a town and local community, regardless of whether or not a place wins. Members, you will of course be aware that the city was the inaugural UK City of Culture in 2013, with overwhelmingly positive impacts as a result of the strong cultural programme and international media exposure from the successful bid, with the overarching long-term positive outcome seen in increased civic pride and confidence. The UK Town of Culture 2028 criteria clearly sets out the strategic objectives of the programme and should be used by any bidding place to inform their bids. To be successful, expressions of interest should demonstrate how they will meet the criteria and show the potential to make a significant contribution to the overall aims of the Town of Culture programme. Officers are aware of the significant resource required to develop a bid for a national competition such as this, and while it's a very positive step by DCMS that there will be resource allocated to shortlisted towns, it is important to be mindful of the resource required to develop a successful bid in what will be a very competitive process. The opportunity in this competition is great, and the obvious entry in the city and district is Strabane Town at this time, which has the opportunity to emulate the success of the city in the inaugural City of Competition in the Town of Culture competition. Officers have had initial discussions with relevant stakeholders regarding the development of an expression of interest, and members with your endorsement will submit an expression of interest for Town of Culture this month. This would then allow officers to fully develop the bid and harness the opportunity to showcase the significant developments for the town of Strabane with a renewed cultural programme and presence throughout the community. The story of Strabane Town is one rich in history and culture, and it is unique. There's significant cultural and community infrastructure in the town, and the Strabane Town Centre Regeneration Programme will create a transformative destination town centre civic space. The Alley Theatre and Conference Centre has been at the heart of cultural life in the town for 20 years, and this process will serve to support the centering of a culture programme, celebrating the best of the town and celebrating the best of the community, and while also attracting new, diverse and significant programming content to the town for 2028. Any final bid and delivery of a successful programme will require significant community and stakeholder engagement, and officers would propose to develop this over the coming weeks and months as part of the final bid process. It is very likely that this will be a very competitive process, with many towns across the UK seeking to be nominated. And whilst the officers will work on a comprehensive expression of interest, the work to bring cultural and community partners together will be valuable in itself. Regardless of the eventual outcome, this ongoing work could provide a template and ultimately an action plan for future development in the area of cultural expression, growing the confidence of the citizens of Strabane and raising the level of ambition. Council and its partners will be spending an estimated 140 million on capital redevelopment works across the town over the coming years. Through this work, Council officers will also seek to develop the cultural infrastructure in tandem with the physical infrastructure of the town. A bid can be developed within current resources. However, if a bid is successful, consideration will need to be given to the resources required to develop the final, that's expression of interest, rather their bid, to develop the final bid and ultimately the delivery of the project. So members, you're asked to note the content of the report and endorse the submission of an expression of interest for Strabane in the UK Town of Culture competition for 2028. So happy to take any questions, members.
Thank you, Aideen. So the first indicated speaker is Councillor Hart. Brian.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Aideen, for the report. I'm happy to propose it. The Town of Culture is an opportunity to showcase what Strabane has to offer, which is history, or history in music, literature, sports, arts, historical figures, and many other areas rich in culture. Some of the names historically we have is Cecil Francis Alexander, John Dunlop, George Sigerson, Flann O'Brien, the Clipper Carton, and actually they were some of the names that I submitted for the murals, you know, that they could be formed around some of those iconic historical figures from Strabane. The Town of Culture can be used as a platform to elevate organisations in the town to showcase the products that they have to offer. Many within these fields will welcome the opportunity. Some groups, as we know, in the current times are struggling within the arts. So this is a very welcome chance to showcase their wares. As outlined in the report, 2013, Derry was a city of culture, and the flag on the Hearn was a centrepiece. And we could see how successful that event turned out to be. I was down at it a few times, and the streets were buzzing and thronged with people. So to see that potentially taking place in Strabane would be a huge boost to businesses and commerce. Has to be a welcome development. Competing for the Town of Culture would have a hugely positive outcome for Strabane. Whether the bid is successful or not, it will focus council officers in exploring and enhancing the cultural offerings in the town. And the financial benefits to the circular economy is enormous, including increased footfall and tourism. And some of the figures that you outlined, the winner would avail of 3 million, which is huge. And you know, no doubt will complement the 140 million that's gone into the Strabane Town Centre. So it's very positive, Strabane, now in the next few years, and hopefully we can benefit whether we are selected or not. So thank you very much, Aidan.
Thank you, Brian. Next indicated speaker is Alderman Hussey. Derek.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the report, Aidan. A hell of a lot of work has gone into this. I realise that from the background. 3.7, and the Chair smiled at me when you were reading this because he realised that Hussey's coming with one here. I couldn't let you away that easy. Obvious entry. As was my question, or one of the questions I would have is that a subjective or is that an objective scenario, because I would maintain, obviously, that there are other towns or smaller settlements that could have been considered throughout the district. But when you hear the complexity of what's going forward, I think the word obvious perhaps is justified. I'll not fully 100% endorse it, but is perhaps justified. One of my concerns, this is for 2028, and I've attended and others have some of the information sessions, I would say, on what's coming through in City Deal and all the rest of it. And I'm worried about the timescale, and I'm worried, is there the potential that if successful, somebody could be trying to run this town of culture on a building site? If people are not fully up to speed with what they're supposed to be doing at various times, because you have the public realm, you have the city deal stuff coming through, and the time schedules that I have heard in meetings, and I'm sure Councillor Hart maybe is the same, but it's just that tweak in my mind. If something goes wrong here, you have this fantastic opportunity, and all of a sudden there's building works left, right, and centre. Building works are good, that's fair enough, but can they be run in tandem? I think that was the phrase you used, the cultural and the physical improvement. Can they be run in tandem? And my final point on it all, I note in 3.2, it's culture for everyone and make it happen. I would love to think that in this town of culture in 2028, that the Tyrone 12th of July could be held, because it's a major cultural event. And if it is culture for everyone, that is something that could be considered going forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Derek. Aileen, do you want to come in on that timeline, please?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously consideration will be given. There's a wide section of council officers who've been involved in this discussion and will be involved in the, over the coming weeks and months as we develop a bid. But I think there is very much an expectation that you would, regardless of what building work is going on, the culture isn't going to stop, that there still will be strong and healthy participation in cultural programming throughout that period. I think given the level of investment that's coming, particularly into Strabane over the coming years and indeed probably decades, if you were to wait until you had a space where there was no building work going on, you wouldn't do anything. So I think that can definitely be given consideration. I suppose in terms of the other towns, this is a highly competitive process. This is also one that is expected to be repeated every 4 years. So I would say this is not, this is, as regards to the other towns in the city and district, it's maybe just, this is a case of focusing our efforts on one town at the moment, and it's maybe just not this time for other towns, but there certainly will be a lot of learning and opportunity for the whole city and district as part of this process.
Thank you, Aileen. So next indicated speaker, and I'm looking for a seconder, Alderman Middleton.
Chair, thank you for letting me in, and Aileen, thank you so much for the report. On behalf of the DUP, we're happy to second this proposal. We look forward to seeing what can come from entering into this very prestigious competition, and I think we all have absolutely wonderful memories of the city being the UK City of Culture, so it would be fabulous to see one of our towns hopefully becoming successful and becoming the UK Town of Culture. So thank you. Happy to second that, Chair.
Thank you, Julie. Antine, did you want to come in?
Hi, Hurley. I just wanted to second Barney. That's all it was. But positive news for Strabane, and good luck going forward.
Thank you. And final indicated speaker is Alderman Kerrigan. Keith.
Thank you, Chair. But to be fair, Julie has spoken and seconded. I just would have had a slight concern in regards to the time frame because it's great plans for Strabane coming up through City Deal, and just what it's similar we concerns as regards to Alderman Hussey's raised. But no, we're content enough with this going forward. But just Julie's already spoke. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Keith. So that's unanimously approved, proposed by Alderman Hart, seconded by, did I call you Alderman Hart? Sorry, Councillor Hart, and seconded by Alderman Middleton. So we've got one item in open for information. Does anybody wish to comment on it? Councillor Neelis?
Don't look so worried. I just want to declare an interest because St Colm's Park House are one of the recipients of the tourism product development. So as an employee there, I just wanted to put that in.
Yeah, well, there's no decision required. It's only open for information, so you don't need to. So we're okay then. So can I get a proposer to move into confidential? Boom. Catherine McDade and Sean Mooney.